Hello. In the past couple of days, we've had both the major parties release their housing policies, and they're so bad, even mainstream economists have described them as a dumpster fire. The first thing I'd say though is that dumpster fires implies something accidental, but these people know exactly what they're doing. Australia's housing bubble is part of a broader class war being waged by the rich and their political servants against workers and the poor. The housing market, as it exists today, is a finely calibrated machine for sucking wealth from the poorest to the richest section of society, from renters and working class mortgage holders to developers, property investors and big banks. Research by the Australia Institute found that in the decade from 2009, the richest 10% of Australian income earners gained 93% of the benefit from economic growth, and a big part of that was housing. Both Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton, and while we're at it actually Dutton's son, belong to the winning side of this equation. Dutton is a multi-millionaire developer and Albanese owns a property portfolio worth an estimated $8 million. They'll never pursue policies that could pop the property bubble because much of their wealth has been built on it. Now it's probably time for a bit on the specifics. Firstly, what's in it for renters? That's pretty straightforward, nothing at all. There's absolutely nothing in either of the parties' announcements that will make life any better for the more than 30% of Australians that rent. In fact, it's probably worse than nothing, because under both Labor and the Liberals' housing plans, house prices are likely to rise even more rapidly than they have been, and the prospect of ever buying a house will be further away than ever. Both Labor and the Liberals claim that their policy will help first home buyers. Labor is offering to help people buy their first home by letting them get a loan with only a 5% deposit, and the Liberals are saying they'll allow first-time buyers who buy newly built homes to deduct interest payments from their taxable income for 5 years. I won't go into all the technical economic reasons why these are all dogshit policies, but the main thing is, as all economists seem to agree, they will further drive up house prices. In the 1990s, the average house price in Australia was about 9.5 times the annual household income per capita. Today, it's more than 16 times, and with these new policies, it's likely to go up even more. The more you inflate the property bubble, the more a 5% deposit will become just as much of a hurdle as a 10% or 20% deposit is today. And if you get into the market using Labor or the Liberal scheme, you're still going to be paying off a huge mortgage for decades to come with the ever-present risk of being crushed by rising interest rates. This isn't really the Australian dream we were sold. It's more like the life of a medieval peasant, working hard day in, day out just to survive and handing over an ever greater portion of what you have to support the luxury lifestyle of the local lord. Only in our case, the lords are the big banks and we don't get nearly as many holidays. Labor's pledged to spend $10 billion on building 100,000 new homes over 8 years, available only to first-time buyers, won't change any of these basic dynamics. This will mainly just be another handout to developers rather than anything that will actually help working class home buyers. To describe it as a drop in the ocean would be generous. So what do we actually need to do to fix the housing crisis? Victorian Socialists has a plan you can read along with our other policies on our website. A guy that ABC talked to as part of a vox pop of voters' views on housing put it well. He said, it needs to be approached like a war effort. You can read this in two ways. We need a whole of economy effort to fix the housing crisis like we had for the arms economy in Australia and other countries during World War II. If they can do it for wars, they can do it for things like housing that will actually make people's lives better. For us though, it also means waging a class war in which working class people and the least well off organise together and force our leaders to deliver real change. We need a rent freeze. We need to make use of the hundreds of thousands of properties sitting empty for no reason. And we need to actually build more public housing instead of demolishing it like the Victorian government is doing today. We won't get any of that though unless we fight. Their side is fighting the class war and they're currently winning, and we need to turn that around. So yeah, don't vote for people who want to further inflate Australia's housing bubble this election. Vote socialist, but also get involved, because while they've got the money and the power at the moment, we've got the numbers, and that's the one thing that really scares them. Authorised by J. Vandenlam, St Kilda.